Well, hello. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Southbound, a alumni house production. As you can see, I'm here solo tonight. Matt is still not able to be with us, so it's just me flying solo again. So we'll kind of jump right on into our NFL uh, news and notes that we have going on for week 5/6. Um, so week 5 was last week, and week 6 is the week we're going into here. Um, so the Browns have traded Joe Flacco to the Bengals along with a 2026 six-round pick in exchange for a 2026 fifth-round pick. Flacco's already been named starter for this week's game against Green Bay. This would be the second time in 4 weeks that Flacco has started a game against Green Bay. Of course, that's not unusual for that to happen in the NFL, but it's unusual for it to happen with two different teams. Um, Brock Purdy is still not practicing, but the 49ers are unlikely to move him to the IR or injured reserve. Giants wide receiver Slayton, and I don't remember his first name, I'm sorry about that, has been ruled out for the game against the Eagles. Running back Tyrone Tracy Jr. has no injury status and is good to go for their game against the Eagles. The Jaguars and Browns have made a trade, and this is their second major trade in the last 6 months. Jaguars get cornerback Greg Newsome in the Jets' 2026 sixth-round pick from the Browns, and the Browns get cornerback Tyson Campbell in the Eagles' 2026 seventh-round pick from the Jags. Raiders tight end Brock Bowers did not participate in practice today due to his knee injury. Status for Sunday's game is unknown. Lamar Jackson is still not practicing, likely to miss another game this week. Kyler Murray, the Cardinals quarterback, did not practice today in his day-to-day, according to head coach Jonathan Gannon. Baker Mayfield has led the Buccaneers to 4 game-winning scores within the final minute of the fourth quarter, the most by any team in the first 5 games of a season since the 1970 merger. So that's quite a bit of history there, and he is really kind of stepped up his game in the last few years here since he's moved to Tampa. And he's playing NFL MVP caliber quarterback right now. So as a Saints fan, not a huge fan of seeing the Buccaneers do good, but you always want to see players do good. You want to see them play their best. You don't want to see anybody, his career suffer or be shortened because of hype and stuff like that, and then they not live up to it. So it's good to see Baker playing well. He can sometimes be come off as unlikable, but when you watch interviews with him and of course some of his old commercial stuff, he was pretty funny in those. He's a likable guy off the field. It's just on field he's very, very competitive. So sometimes he can come across as unlikable there. But, again, as a Saints fan, it's tough seeing one of our conference rival or division rivals doing good, but good for Baker. That's really neat. And in some weird news, you've got this situation with former NFL quarterback and current Fox broadcaster Mark Sanchez, where he was stabbed. I think it was in the chest, I think 3 times in Indianapolis. He was supposed to be calling the game Sunday, And from the stuff that's kind of coming out, I mean, he's been arrested and charged. He's still in the hospital, but it's an odd situation. It sounds like he was drunk, maybe on something else. Who knows? Uh, all the extenuating circumstances are unknown, but kind of from what I've seen, there was a truck driver who was just sitting at a loading bay at the hotel that Sanchez is at, and apparently Sanchez came at him, and he was drunk and was making some weird demands and stuff, and things kind of got out of hand, and he went up in the hospital and has now been charged. So we'll have to keep an eye on that situation as that develops more. It's weird, it's odd. You hate to see people put themselves in situations like that. Unfortunately, it happens quite often. But now we're going to get to last week's games. First, we'll start with the Thursday night game. The 49ers went to the Rams and came away with a 26-23 victory. Mac Jones was the starting quarterback for the 49ers. He did what he had to do to get the 49ers another win. If I remember right, he had over 300 yards passing in the game. Let me pull this up real quick, or hopefully quick. Yeah, he had 342 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Neither team ran the ball well. I mean, they were both, statistically, they were both very close in all categories. So Stafford threw for 389 and 3 touchdowns, whereas Mac had 2 touchdowns at 342. Rushing yards, they were within 4 yards of each other. This is a game, the Rams came back in the fourth quarter and tied it. If I remember, I think they went for 2 and missed a 2-point conversion there at the end of the fourth quarter. No, they had a touchdown. And the extra point was blocked. That's how they got. I was thinking they went for 2 at the end of the fourth quarter, but that was a different game that I'd watched. But anyway, Stafford let them down. They got the field goal to tie it there at almost the very end of the game. It was less than a minute to go. It went to overtime. The 49ers went down and got a field goal, and then the Rams drove downfield and got close, and it was a fourth down. Instead of kicking it and tying the game and trying to get the ball back again, they decided to go for it on fourth down, and they failed to convert. So that ended the game for the 49ers. They are now 4-1. And they are first place in the division, which is probably where they'll stay for most of the season. This seems like a very good 49ers team. They're playing well. Mac Jones is playing well in place of Brock Purdy while he's out. Now for the Sunday games, started out with the Vikings and the Browns. And this was the London game. We've hit the they call it the London series, or the overseas games. And this was played at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium there in London. This is Dylan Gabriel's first start for the Browns. Flacco had been the starter. Dylan Gabriel was put in as the starter for the week. The Vikings get the win. It was a close game throughout. The Vikings had scored a touchdown late in the fourth quarter to pull out the win. Carson Wentz is playing right now for the AJ McCarthy. Justin Jefferson, 7 receptions, 123 yards. Typical numbers for him. It doesn't really matter who's throwing the ball to him. Just throw it near him. He's going to catch it. The Saints, the Giants went to the Saints. This was a game of two bad teams playing. This is a game where Jackson Dart was coming back to the area, right? So he played college ball at Ole Miss, and Mississippi and Louisiana are neighbor states. A lot of the state pools for the Saints. There's a lot of thought that the Saints would try to draft Jackson Dart, and of course they didn't draft him. So Dart, his game. This is a game marred by turnovers for the Giants. Dart had 2 interceptions he threw. He had a fumble. Darius Slayton had a fumble. Cam Scatterby had a fumble, and they all lost. So they had 5 turnovers in the game. 3 fumbles and 2 interceptions. The Saints played a clean game, no turnovers. Spencer Rattler only had 1 touchdown. We saw the return of Taysom Hill from his torn ACL from last year, and we saw one of my favorite players come back, and that was that was it's sad I'm blanking out on my favorite player's name, but Foster Moreau. That's sad. It's been a long day. It's kind of late here. Foster Moreau made his season debut at tight end. I don't think he had any catches in the game, but he was on the field. He was making an impact in the blocking. So the Saints get their first win. Kellen Moore gets his first win as a coach. Spencer Rattler gets his first win as an NFL quarterback. He can kind of get that monkey off his back a little bit and move forward. And we'll see how many more wins the Saints can get this season. Next game we have the Raiders going to Indianapolis to play the Colts. Again, this is the game that Mark Sanchez was supposed to call. He did not. The Colts blew the Raiders out 40-6. Next game, the Cowboys went up to New York not to play the Giants, to play the Jets. Cowboys with the easy 37-22 win. The Broncos went to Philadelphia and snuck out with the win, 21-17. It was a fourth quarter rally where they scored 18 points in the fourth quarter to hand the Eagles their first loss of the season. The Dolphins went to the Panthers and lost 27-24. The Panthers are now 2-3. The Dolphins are 1-4. Now the Tua played well in this game. 256 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns. But the Dolphins are just kind of a train wreck this year. He had no turnovers. The offense didn't turn the ball over at all. Bryce Young turned the ball over for the Panthers twice. Interception and a fumble. Usually when you win the turnover game or the turnover battle, it usually leads to success in the score on the scoreboard, and leads to a win for that team. But that wasn't the case in this one. This was a game where the Dolphins had 19 yards rushing, while the Panthers ran for 239 yards. Rico Dowdle ran for 206 himself on 23 carries. So an impressive day on the ground for Carolina. And we're not going to act like the Dolphins are a world-beating defense this year. This is a season where they're just trying to get through it. The Texans went to Baltimore in another easy win, 44-10. The Ravens are 1-4, and there's a very good chance they miss the playoffs this year, which is weird to think about. But the Texans sitting at 2-3, they're still in a winnable division. Now they're going to have to play some catch up because the Colts are playing very, very well. They're 4-1, but there's still a lot of divisional games ahead for all these teams. So there's room for them to make up ground. C.J. Stroud is starting to kind of find some rhythm. He had 4 touchdown passes in this game. So we'll see if the Texans can continue this momentum. The Titans went to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. Titans snapped a 10-game losing streak with a comeback where they scored 16 points in the fourth quarter to win the game. Cam Ward gets his first win as an NFL quarterback. This is a he played okay. He had 265 yards through the air, no touchdowns. He did have an interception, but his interception, it was immediately fumbled and picked up and scored. A touchdown was scored on the play. It was weird. They were down close to the goal line when it all happened, and he threw an interception. It got fumbled, and it got kicked into the end zone and fallen on there where I believe that was the game-winning touchdown there. The Buccaneers beat the Seahawks 38-35. This was another one of those last-minute victories for the Buccaneers. Mayfield, again, he's playing exceptionally well. 379 yards through the air, 29 of 33 on his pass attempts, 2 touchdowns. Like I say, he's playing, MVP caliber ball right now. Lions went to Cincinnati, got the, easy win there. I really wasn't expecting anything different. Lions won 37-24. Jared Goff with 3 touchdown passes. Commanders went to L.A. to play the Chargers, and I watched this game, and it was a game where it looked like the Chargers were going to come out and just run away with this one, and because they came out and scored 10 points in the first quarter, and they didn't score again the rest of the game. The Commanders, they scored 10 points in the second, 10 points in the third, and a touchdown in the fourth. This is Jaden Daniels' first game back from a knee injury. He played pretty well. He was 15 of 26, 231 yards, and a touchdown. He ran a little bit, not a lot. At one point, he was the leading rusher for the Commanders, but Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt wound up with 14 carries for 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. Daniels was just kind of running when he had to, just to extend plays. He wasn't doing any any design runs that didn't like. He had 8 carries. A lot of, most of that was just getting away from the rush and making plays when he got out in the open. Debo Samuel, who a lot of people still don't know that he's playing for the Commanders now. Really good game. 8 receptions, 96 yards, 1 touchdown. He kept making the plays when it counted, like when it mattered, and he was a difference maker. Luke McCaffrey. So this is Ed McCaffrey's son. This is Christian McCaffrey's brother. He played his college ball. I think he went to a couple different schools, but I know he played at Rice for a while. He only had one catch, but it's for 50 yards, and it was right there toward the end of the first half. The Commanders had to punt the ball, and it was actually returned for a touchdown, but the touchdown was overturned because of a roughing the punter penalty. So the Commanders got the ball back in the first play. Jaden hit McCaffrey with a dime for 50 yards, and I think they wound up getting a field goal out of that because it was right there at the end of the first half. It was just a pretty pass. It was something to see. It was one of those things, seeing Jaden play the way he's played for. He's 2 years at LSU, and now he's in his second season in the NFL, and he doesn't turn the ball over. He's very careful with it. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch him play. And he's just kind of picked right back up where he left off. And then our final Sunday game was a Sunday night game. And this is a very good game. The Patriots went to Buffalo. Come out with a 23-20 win, and this is a game. It was very close throughout. The Patriots had a 3-0 lead after the first quarter, and then after that, the scoring throughout the game was dead even. Both teams had a field goal in the second quarter. Both teams had touchdowns in the third quarter, and then both teams scored 10 points in the fourth quarter. This was a game where Josh Allen had taken the Bills down and tied the game up with just a little bit of time left on the clock, and the Patriots took full advantage of what time was left, went down and got a field goal to win the game. And the Bills were the last unbeaten team. Like, we had 2 unbeaten teams at the start of the day. And the Eagles lost, and so the Bills were the last hope to stay undefeated and be the lone undefeated team. And so both teams lost on the same day. So this was, this is one of those games where it was a great game to watch. It was a lot of fun. You could tell, you could tell the Patriots were getting better. I'm not going to say that they're where they were when Tom Brady and Bill Belichick were there, but they're starting to get better. I think that the coaching is well. Drake May is playing well at quarterback, so they're on the way back. So if you live in Boston, it's a good times are coming. And our final game from week 5 was the Monday night game. Chiefs at Jaguars. Guys, the Jaguars are 4-1. They won the game 31-28. And it was they won it right there at the very end. I had the game on while I was doing Alumni House Monday, so I wasn't able to watch it as close as I normally do. But Trevor Lawrence, he's playing some good ball. He was the leading rusher for the Jaguars. Not what you want from your quarterback, like Trevor Lawrence. He's mobile, but he's not like Lamar Jackson or even Josh Allen. Josh Allen's a very mobile quarterback, but he had 10 carries for 54 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had a very efficient day, throwing the ball 18 to 25, 221 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Mahomes, he had 318 yards to the air, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. So they were kind of even there. Of course, he had almost 100 more yards. But this one, it came down to the very end. And I want to say, yeah, Trevor Lawrence scrambled for a 1 yard touchdown with 23 seconds left in the game. So, yeah, it was a first and goal, so they still had some time on the clock. But, this is one of those where you can't mess up but once in this situation, because of the time that's on the clock here. Depending on their timeout situation, I'm sure they were out of timeouts at that point. But at the play before, there was an interception that he threw, but it was a defensive pass interference penalty that overturned that interception, or else, the Chiefs would have won the game. So the Chiefs are sitting at 2-3, and before this week started, you kind of wondered if maybe the Chiefs were going to be in a little bit of trouble, because the Chargers had kind of like they were, the team to beat in that division. But as it stands right now, let's see. I'm trying to pull up the standings. Here we go, standings. Yeah, so the Broncos and the Chargers are both 3-2. So there's only a 1 game separation between them and the Chiefs. So they're by no means out of out of this race. It's at this point, really, there's only like a couple teams that are probably out of their division race. You could say that the Jets and probably the Dolphins are out of their race. Cleveland, they've probably packed it in the season. Tennessee's probably out of theirs. Vegas is probably out. The Giants are definitely out of theirs, unless the Eagles just collapse somehow. NFC North, will be a very contested division the entire year, I think. The Saints are potentially close to being out of theirs. NFC West, it looks like nobody's really would be considered out of that one either. So, this loss, it didn't help the Chiefs but it didn't hurt them overall either. As far as their divisional race goes, so there's still a chance that they can rip off a bunch of games and be okay. I would expect at this point that they'll probably be a wild card, but we'll see. There's still a lot of football left. All right, so let's hop into the week 6, the week coming up. So it starts out tomorrow night with the Eagles going to the Meadowlands to take on the Giants. 7:15 is the kickoff time. Eagles at 4-1, Giants at 1-4. Sunday, the NFL London game, the Broncos and the Jets. Look for the Broncos to win this one handily. The Cardinals are going to Indy to play the Colts. Again, Kyler Murray is questionable for this one. He's day to day right now, so we'll see how that goes. The Patriots are headed to NOLA to take on the Saints. So 3-2 Patriots who are playing very, very well. 1-4 Saints who looked pretty good this past week, but honestly, they were playing the lowly Giants right now, so it's hard to kind of take and read too much into that one. The Chargers go to Miami. I look for the Chargers to bounce back and get a big win on this one. The Browns go to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Cowboys head to Charlotte to play the Panthers. Seahawks head across the country to play the Jaguars. The Rams, and this is the last 12 o'clock game. I guess it's probably 1 o'clock Eastern. The Rams head to Baltimore to play the Ravens. Our 3 o'clock window, the Titans head out to Vegas to play the Raiders. This is 1-4 teams. This probably not be a very good game. You got the Bengals that are playing the Packers. Like I said, the Bengals starting Flacco. This is his second time in 4 weeks playing the Packers. So I imagine the Packers going to win this one pretty easily. Flacco can make a difference, but the problem with the Bengals is they don't have an offensive line. If you don't have an offensive line, you can't block for your quarterback. You can't open up running lanes. Like the Bengals will struggle. I don't care who you have at quarterback. The Bengals are going to struggle until they get their offensive line figured out. This has been an ongoing issue ever since since before they drafted Joe Burrow. But everybody talks about Burrow's injuries and stuff, and oh, he's injury plagued. Yes, he is, because he plays behind an offensive line that can't block a second grade Pee Wee team. I mean, they're bad, and when you're running for your life constantly, you're going to get hurt. It's just, I don't know that there's any quarterback who's been hit more than Joe Burrow in his 6 years in the league. And this is his third major injury. He had the ACL his rookie season, and of course he came back from that and took the Bengals in spite of their it is probably their best offensive line they had, but he took them to the Super Bowl his second year. Came very close to winning it. And then, he had the wrist injury where he had the tendon that messed up in it. Last year, he had I don't remember what the injury was last year. And then this year with the turf toe, which, turf toe doesn't sound serious. I kind of laugh at it because it's like, oh, it's just a toe. But it's the tendon that connects the toe. And apparently it was a pretty nasty MRI and X-ray that was that they showed. So like I said, the Bengals, their defense line, it's really good. Like they have invested more in the defensive line than the offensive line, and their defensive line may can keep them in the game for a half, but I think that the Packers win this one. Spread's 14.5. I could see them covering that easily. Our last game in the 3 o'clock window, the 49ers go to the Buccaneers. This may be one of the better games of the weekend. This is 2 4-1 teams. Mac Jones is probably still going to be playing quarterback for the 49ers. And Baker Mayfield is playing MVP caliber football right now. Maybe the Buccaneers can win a game without having to, win it at the last minute. They're 4-1. He's had 4, last minute scoring drives to win the game. The only game that they've lost is the game that they didn't do that in. So, I mean, this 49ers team has showed that I mean, 4-1. NFL is it's. I don't care who you play. That's good. Um, and they're 3-0 away, so their one loss has been at home. So I look for this to be a really good game. I think this is going to be a really close game. Tampa's 2.5-point favorite. I think this will be one that it lives up to that. It's 2.5 points. That's pick 'em basically. That's just you get 3 points for being the home team basically. So this is going to be one that comes down to the final drive for one team or the other. And then to cap off Sunday, the Sunday night game, I think me and Matt both agree Sunday night broadcast is the best broadcast in football right now, or at least the NFL. Really enjoy the Sunday night broadcast they do. Just the entire the package is clean. The commentators I love listening to Rico call the game. Chris Collinsworth is good. Even the pregame and postgame stuff, I enjoy all of that with NBC. So looking forward to this one. The Lions going to the Chiefs. I think this will be a really good game. So I really think the best two games of Sunday will be these last two. Kansas City's a 2.5-point favorite. This will be another one that comes down to maybe who's got the ball last, as to who wins this one. I think this is gonna be a shootout. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. And then there are two games on Monday night. So the first one up is the Bills traveling down to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. The Bills 4-1, the Falcons 2-2. Buffalo's a 4.5-point favorite. I look for Buffalo to win this one. And win this one by 10 points or so. I think the Bills are far and away a better team than the Falcons. And in the second game, the Monsters of the Midway, the Bears, travel to our nation's capital to take on the Commanders. The Bears 2-2, the Commanders 3-2. Washington is also a 4.5-point favorite. It's funny, both these Monday night games, the spread's the same and the total point is the same. It's 49.5 points. So this is one. I think the Commanders can win this one. I think this will actually be a pretty good game. I think this is actually the better game of the two. I think the Bills Falcons game, it may be good for a quarter, maybe a half, but I think the Bills will kind of control that one for the most of it. I really think this Bears Commanders game will be a much better game. It'll be a closer game throughout. I think the Commanders win it, but I think it'll be close. And then the bye week teams are the Vikings and the Texans. So, looking at this schedule overall, I really feel like the best games of the weekend are the 49ers Buccaneers, the Lions Chiefs, and that Bears Commanders game. I think those would be the three best games. And should be able to watch all three of them. Of course, as long as I'm able, I'll be watching the Saints game Sunday. It's on CBS. Who knows if they play it or not? It's they do some funny things with home area teams sometimes. But so I'll definitely be watching that one Sunday. Be watching the Bills, the Buccaneers, 49ers, Lions, Chiefs, and probably that Bears Commanders game Monday. So that's it for this week. We'll have Matt should be back tomorrow night for our Alumni House podcast, where we'll be previewing the upcoming week for the college football season for our conferences that we cover in the southern region of the country. So the American Conference, Conference USA, Sun Belt, ACC, SEC. Come join us for that. Until then, we'll see you next time, guys.